Hello, everybody! Hello, hello, hello! I am hoping my microphone is working because I've been having issues with it again this week. Okay, so hello everyone. Where are my notes? This week we have a kind of longer fish train. I'm dropping it into chat for everybody right now. If you want to follow along, I am on Halicarnassus. You can meet me at the floating boulder. Fishing windows is the first spot there. And we're gonna get started here in like maybe 3-4 minutes. So, hello Wordney, hello Scorp, hello Zin. During this part of the song, there's a conversation going on in the background, and it drives me nuts because I feel like I'm the only person who hears it. Hello, T. And hello to everyone on YouTube. I hope the YouTube stream is working well. This is the first time that I've done this as a scheduled stream, so I'm hoping that came out right. It looks like everything's running fine on my end. But if there's any issues on the YouTube side, please let me know. How's my audio? Audio looks fine. I'll turn the music down here in a minute. Good evening, Muzen. So I think we'll get started once this next ad break comes through, but again, if you want to join, we are on Halicarnassus on Dynamis. If you can't get to Dynamis, that's fine. You can go ahead and fish on whatever homeworld you are at, and you can just follow along. I have already posted the fish train schedule in chat, so you can just follow along there. I'll be giving explanations to everything, so just listen if you want. Throw me up on your second monitor, throw me behind everything else, toss me up behind the Olympics figure skating, which is currently going on right now. Whatever you want. Now what? Hold on, which piece of music is this? Huh. I've never heard that opening to Return to Oblivion. And Zin, thank you for that 3-stream streak, which is fun because I think I've done all 3 of these in the past week. I think this is first time, at least since the holidays, that I've done a triple stream week. And I think over the holidays I did a quadruple one, I think. Can I get up on this rock? I think I can. Alright. I know we're in ads, so I won't actually start anything. I won't do the instruction just yet, but for those of you who are around, again, we're on Halicarnassus. In the office on a Sunday, that's unfortunate. But sometimes necessary. You get the bait, too. That would be really important to have. We're going to be using bass ball. Try everything I need. I'll have to probably repair at some point today, but that's fine. Oh, Monday morning. Oh, that would make way more sense. Being on the other side of the world would make much, much more sense. Where's my cell phone so I can silence it? Oh, I know what I need to do. Okay. We're almost back from ads, and then I will get started with everyone. You can also just come back and forth as you want. You don't have to show up right away. I picked Floating Boulder from the start because it is kind of a... It's kind of a long one. So I figured this would be a pretty good one to just start with, so it gives everyone a chance to show up. It's nice and it's a little slow, but it is something that some people want to know a little bit more about. All right. I just need to grab my notes and we're good to go. Okay. Hello everyone and welcome back to another Learn to Big Fish fish train here. I'm trying to come up with a more catchy title than that, but that's kind of what we've been sticking with. This second-ish session that we've done. And we got a bit of a good hike of fish today. A few shorter ones, but we're going to be starting with a long one to begin with. So, let me turn the music down one sec. There we go. Alright, so Floating Boulder is caught between midnight, which is just opening, and 8 a.m. During clouds or fog, it is also notably the second rarest fish in the game by bite rate, tied with the second one, and it is only surpassed by the magic bucket. Now, with this fish, there isn't anything too super special. You're just going to start by casting out with Bass Ball. And if you are using fish eyes, you can slap Black Eel, else you're going to be slapping Climbing Perch. Though either of them are perfectly fine. Both of them are powerful bites, so if you want, you can use Ambitious Lure to speed up the process of getting them. Alright, there's our Black Eel, so I'll just use Surface Slap, Chum, and then for the remainder of the window, you are going to be just casting out, Chum in between each cast, and you are only ever going to be using Hook on that one powerful hook, or that one, Ferocious Bite, which is Floating Boulder, and otherwise you are going to be using rest on those weak and strong bites. Now, some people may be asking, can you use ambitious lure? You can if you want. It would help a little bit, but at this point, just due to the length of the window, how much GP you would be spending, it isn't really necessary. So you can just, this is a really good vibe out fish where you can just kind of sit, put something up on your other screen, and just wait for that ferocious bite to come. Again, use chum as much as you can. Keep that high cordial rolling so that you're chumming as much as possible. And that's about it. That's what you're going to be doing for the 23 minutes. Or if you're using fish eyes, you can use it during any of the weather windows as well. Hey Doc, thank you again for that 6 months of subscription. And again, if you are just joining us or just tuning in, I am on Halicarnassus. You are welcome to join. You can just follow along. I have the fish train schedule somewhere in chat right now, but I will repost it for everybody if it's needed. But if you're able to come to Halicarnassus, you can totally show up. We are going to need, for today's fish train, you are going to need the Dravania folklore tome, and I would say probably if you're in at least level 70 gear or higher, you will be fine on gathering. Now this will be one of the longest windows that we have all day. And again, that's mostly just to have a fishing hole that, or at least a fish that everyone can kind of show up to and not have to, you know, panic, show up, not get anything done, then move on. The rest of these fish today are actually relatively short, and we have one that we're going to be doing in about 45 minutes. That is the shortest known fish window for any fish. Oh, it looks like with the new data update, Floating Boulder, or at least, sorry, it looks like with the new update to the data on fish stats, Floating Boulder is now third slowest, or hardest to catch, rarest bite, that's the word I'm looking for. The third rarest fish by bite rate at 1.15%, second one is about 1%, and Magic Bucket at about 0.5657. For comparison, Cinder Surprise is only 1.6%, which would make it the fourth, and we will be going for Levinlight in a little bit too, which is also around 1.6. Hey, King of the Nerds. But if you have any questions at all, please feel free to throw them into chat. I have both the chats open. I will try and get to answering your question as soon as I can. Any more updates on the Purse of Riches? Yes, actually, I think I posted something on my channel this morning. Yeah, so Purse of Riches, for those of you who haven't been keeping up, Purse of Riches was a couple weeks ago narrowed down to a very specific, very rare weather condition, clouds into rain between 16 and 1800. Which makes it the first ever 5% into 5% fish window conditions, let alone one that has time tied to it. And so the chance of it appearing is something around like 0.08% or something. The conditions for it itself, which makes it the rarest fish by weather condition by a very far margin. It has like average downtimes of about like 19-20 days between windows. And this is very strange to us. This is a bit of an outlier. We never had seen a fish this infrequent with its windows, and it's something that we've always joked about happening. I know during Endwalker, I made a ton of jokes about this one very specific transition in Garlemald. And so we thought it was a bug. Add in the fact that Purse of Riches was also next to Punity Pain in the data, like on the client-side data. And they have the same weather conditions. It was thought to be a bug. Congratulations on that catch. But after, I think, 1, 2, 3, 4 known submitted bug reports to get verification on what exactly was going on, I submitted one a few weeks ago and got a, if you think you have a bug, you know, talk to the community, post on the forums, blah 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 blah, but whatever. Then I posted another one with more data, with support from Teodoteun, and on behalf of Teodoteun, I should say. Basically giving all the data, and they were like, we can't tell you if it's that data. Sorry. Then somebody else submitted another bug report saying, okay, well, we're going to escalate this now. And that was the response they got. And then finally yesterday, someone got a response saying, based on what you're saying, it's working as intended. So Purse of Riches, as far as we are aware, and a little bit unsurprising, is in fact working as intended. Its conditions are correct. It is now the most infrequent window of any fish in any game of Final Fantasy XIV. There is a forum thread that I started where I kind of discussed it, and they that has gotten a few things. It's on the DOL forums. So yes, Purse of Riches, that's the update. Purse of Riches is, as far as we are aware, working as intended. That's true. I never did say it was a good update. I stand by what I said in my video about Purse of Riches, where I'm glad Purse of Riches exists. I think it's good that they are breaking the molds that we have seen with fish, and they're doing these extreme, like, what we would have considered previously very extreme fish, and we still consider them rather extreme. I think it's good that we're seeing that, especially coming out of, like, city fish and fish this late into the expansion. I just hope that we don't see another Purse of Riches. I think downtime, having one extreme downtime fish is fine. I think that should exist. That should be something that you know has to be there, but we need to balance that out now with something else on the other end of that. So that would be like bring back the always up fish that are just incredibly slippery. Give us something more slippery than the Matriarch, which is a 93% slip rate. Give us that always up fish. Maybe make it tied to an intuition if you want to add a little bit more of that, like it's going to take you a while to get, to make it a little more engaging. So I think I personally am fine with Purse of Riches not changing, or at least working as intended. If it changes, I won't lose any sleep. If it doesn't change, I won't lose any sleep. Except maybe that one time that I'll wake up at like 5 a.m. But otherwise, yeah, I think it's just basically going to be a fish that, let's see it once, great, we got it done. Let's not see it again. And then come patch 9.0, so, you know, 2 expansions from now. Excuse me. 2 expansions from now, we'll get Fish Eyes for Purse of Riches, which will basically make it still a little, which will make it 3 times more common. And make it way more bearable. A lot of discussion is being warped by people not engaging with fishing in a way that is long-term healthy. So yes and no. I think Purse of Riches, as I would say, has broken containment a little bit. I guess would be the air quotes that I would use. But the conversation from folks who are not with it, like who aren't in the fishing circle, is no different than any other downtime fish. So it's not like it's new. It's like it's the same conversation that they're having around Bob Goblin Bass or Duskfish or Ruby Dragon. Like it's nothing new for anyone who's outside of that circle. Alright, so we have 6 minutes, 6.5 minutes left on Floating Boulder, and then immediately after this, we are going to be heading to Costa del Sol and North Bloodshore. So I would recommend, if you are still fishing, I would slow your GP roll right now. Let yourself start regaining GP, because you're going to need it in about 9 minutes. There is a lot of extremely valid feedback on incredibly infrequent fish like purse of riches that I think should be discussed, which is part of the reason why I set up that forum post. But I think if we're only going to be talking about purse of riches, then we have a little bit of a, like, that's not as productive of a conversation. Like, if we want to talk about fish downtime or the frequency of windows, we can't just talk about purse of riches. We have to talk about bobgoblin bass and purse and duskfish and ruby and cinder and look at that whole picture of infrequent window fish. But I think when it comes to purse, the other thing that needs to be a little reined in my opinion, is, oh, if they did this for purse, I can't wait to see what they do. Like, how bad are the 7.5 fish going to be? How bad are the legendary fish going to be? And you can't even judge a patch, really, on a single fish. You have to look at the entire patch. And Purse of Riches withstanding, that was a solid, like 7.4 was a solid patch for fish. Like, there were very few, congratulations on the catch, very, very few fish that I'm like, that's a miss. And I think the one that I had, like, the one or two that I had misses on were Chin Snuffler and Esperance Carp. And even then, they're still fine. So, when we talk about fish, you have to really wait for either the whole patch to finish or for the whole expansion. So I think it'll be interesting to see, you know, come, gosh, that'll be what, August, I think? Because 7.5 will be May, June, yeah, August, September-ish, for 7.55 or whatever it'll be. That's going to be where, you know, that's where you can start drawing some final conclusions. Until this point, even including this point, Dawntrail has been miles past Endwalker fishing in terms of quality. Which doesn't say too much, because Endwalker was a kind of low bar to surmount, but even then, I'm seeing Dawntrail come close to like Shadowbringer's level of quality for fishing. Alright, you got about a minute left. If you are waiting to get started, or if you're, you know, you've already caught Floating Boulder and you want to get ahead a little bit, you can head to Costa del Sol, head north over towards where Hidden Gorge is, and we're going to be fishing over at the North Blood Shore. Okay, this will be my last cast. Alright, let's head over to Costa del Sol then. I need herring ball? Herring ball. I know I have herring ball somewhere. I bought herring ball. I apparently did not buy herring ball. Crap. Alright, I have to go quickly swing by the bait guy really quick. Whoops. How embarrassing. Actually, I can just jump over to Hawkers, it's quicker. I swear I bought all the bait I needed yesterday. Should probably buy some Sifrid baskets while I'm here. No, I got those. I just didn't get herring balls. Where are they? There you are. Alright, we are heading to North Blood Shore. I will drop a flag in as soon as we get there. Right around, you know, like here-ish. Alright, so Bombardfish is about to come up, so we're going to jump right into it. Alright, so Bombardfish is available during clear skies between 9 and 15 or 3 p.m. And you're going to be using herring ball. I like to just start off with a quick little chum just to get my GP rolling and cast out. The main thing here is we are going to be slapping either the white lip oyster or balloonfish. Either of those will work. There's my white lip. Now I am going to use chum once. You don't have to for this because we're going to use a bit of a reroll technique. Once the window opens at 9:01, I am going to cast out, and if I don't have a bite by 6 seconds with chum or 12 seconds without chum, I'm going to use Ambitious Lure once. What this does is that it will re-roll the fish that we were about to get into something else. So I'm going to cast out. And now I'm going to wait 6 seconds, see if I get a bite. I don't. I use Ambitious Lure, and now this is a completely different fish. I wait for the bite. It's not what I want. I reel in. Now the reason we do this is because Bombardfish has a very quick bite. And so if we pass the window in which Bombardfish can bite, which is up to 12 seconds without chum, 6 with chum, if we pass that window, we know that that fish is not Bombardfish. So we can use Ambitious Lure, re-roll that fish back potentially into Bombardfish, because it could be any fish that's valid at the time of the lure roll, and then have another chance at Bombardfish. So if we don't get another bite by 5 seconds, then we can use Ambitious Lure again, 5 seconds after that first one, and then use it a third time another 5 seconds after that. So, again, use chum, cast out, wait 6 seconds, use Ambitious Lure because I didn't get a bite. And that's not Bombardfish. And then we just keep doing that over and over again. Now that was a bite right at about 6 seconds, so I didn't re-roll it. Now this one is without chum, so if I don't get a bite by 12 seconds, then I will re-roll. Then 12, no bite, use Ambitious Lure, re-roll. Now I know that this next bite's going to be a powerful lickset fish, much like Bombard, but it's not. And we just repeat. The main goal here is to use chum and Ambitious Lure enough that you're not burning your GP to the point where you can't use Ambitious Lure at all, because using Ambitious Lure is actually beneficial for you. It saves you GP because you don't have to reapply chum. Instead of paying 100 GP every cast, you pay 100 and then 10 and you get 2 casts basically. And then you just repeat that until you get a ferocious bite, in which case you will use hook, and that'll be your chance at Bombardfish. Now this is another one of those casts where I didn't get a bite immediately, and then I didn't get another one 5 seconds after that. I have a macro, it'll be in the comments of the VOD and this guide if I catch Bombardfish, where it will play a chime when the grace period for Ambitious Lure or Modest Lure is over, so you know when you can reroll again. I don't have that enabled here, I didn't turn that macro on. But I probably could. I actually don't even know if it's saved here. But that is a macro that you can use. So, you're just going to be basically repeating that over and over again. Oop, it looks like someone got a catch. I might be out of shout range, so if you get a catch, use yell. So at least I can see it. But it looks like we got a catch, so congratulations to whoever caught Bombardfish there. Now this re-rolling technique, which you'll hear referred to as re-rolling, can be used on a variety of fish. We use it on Aelid Skan. That's one of the new alternative strategies, but it runs the risk of getting catching Sound of Fury. You can use it on fish like Bombardfish, Record Killer, Steel Razor. There is a list. I'll pull it up in a second here. But there is a list of fish that you can use reroll on, and it's a fun technique. I really like the use of it. Do you think Cosmic has any chance of getting more players into big fishing? Or is the reverse more likely? I think I think Cosmic... I don't know. I haven't seen a lot of people say, oh, I'm now big fishing because I did Cosmic. I have a lot of people who are going, oh, I'm big fishing because I went ocean fishing. I think ocean fishing had a way bigger impact on the fishing community than Cosmic. I think Cosmic people see as a bit of a fishing chore because it's a list of things rather than ocean fishing where you can get a lot more resources out of it. You can level, it's a bit more social, you're not moving around as much. So I don't think Cosmic is going to have a huge impact on that. We haven't seen a huge influx of people into the fish cord like we did with ocean fishing. Oh, I did that a little too early. Now, is it the other way around? I don't think... I think most people who are actively fishing now are already crafting. Just going by the conversations that were in the fish cord, I think most people were actually already crafting, so I don't think it's really going. You're not really going to see a big jump from people fishing crafting more. Ocean fishing is what got me started in DOH. Well, yeah. That is, I think ocean fishing is more the gateway into overworld fishing than Cosmic is. Oh yeah, and Bombardfish is a little slippery, so if it slips, don't get too disheartened. Mistress Kiki, thank you for the follow. And YouTube does not tell me who subscribes via the live streams, but if you are subscribing via the live stream, thank you and welcome.
Some whales have teeth.
Some whales do have teeth, yes. Thank you, Mortimer. And Vanilla Coffee 14, thank you for that follow as well. 202 out of 500k for Cosmic. We've had a lot of people asking about where, like, the best fisher missions are for Cosmic, and honestly, we haven't really done, at least I haven't seen any, like, super deep analysis, super conclusive analysis on, like, here's the best things you should go for. The one thing, though, that we do typically recommend is go back to Sinus Ardorum and do the cross glass. The, like, aquatic metals, Crystallic Gems and Eel Rations are basically the great ones. But in truth, really just do the A, EX, and EX Plus missions. Just do them. Do the ones that you can do reliably, and you'll be fine. Oh yeah, no, if you're just going for like just Fisher, then yeah, you can do Faina. Oasis hasn't been that bad either. Apparently one of the new missions in the final zone for Oasis has you catching 48 fish in 4 minutes. Allegedly. Yeah, the planet progression is way faster this time. Which I think is okay. I think that's a good thing. Because once 745 comes around and they drop the new, like, Occult Crescent stuff, yeah, no, you do get multi-hook. And I am just having a rough go with these fish today, aren't I? Nope, there's still one more planet in 7.5. There'll probably be relic progression. I would be surprised if they didn't. They would need something else in place of it. Alright, there's 3 minutes left. This ends at 1500. So yeah, didn't Splendorous have 4 steps too? Alright, so once you get the strong bite, you just use hook and it'll slip. That's a bummer. Don't have to worry about saving your GP too much at the end of this window. You can totally just burn all your GP down in the last minute and 20 seconds here. Our next fish is a very short window and it's not for another 8.5 minutes, so your GP will, you'll have enough GP by the time we get there. No, Ethaloon, you can totally join. We're about to wrap up at Bombardfish, and then we're going to head to Crescent Cove. So if you want to join us on Halicarnassus, if anyone wants to join us on Halicarnassus, you can meet us at Crescent Cove, which is the Horizon Aetheryte. That's the word I'm looking for. Now, when you get to the end of the window, be careful when you use Lure, because if you use Lure after you cast but after the window closes, it will not count. So I use that at the last possible second. And it's not the fish. All right. Go ahead and wrap up with your final cast. We are going to be moving to, like I was just saying, Horizon, and we're heading to Vesper Bay, not Vesper Bay, excuse me, we are heading to Crescent Cove, right over here. If you happen to still have any Vesper Bay teleport tokens, those are like the best thing to use. If not, just teleport to Horizon. And no big rush on this one because we got... That's not what I want. Go away. No big rush on this one because we got about 5 minutes. But you're gonna start with Northern Krill, which I knew I bought that one. Oh, this is the alt. This alt doesn't carry the Mora. The main does, and the main has many Mora. Alright, so in the 5 minutes that we have here... Hold on 1 second, we got a marker. Alright, so prepping for fingers is relatively straightforward. We are going to focus specifically on finding a rock lobster, catching that, and slapping it. And then you're just going to use Chum, and then we'll wait for the window to open at 17:30. Now, Rock Lobster is a strong bite, so if you really want to use Ambitious Lure to kind of help get you there, you can, but it isn't really going to be beneficial for you to use it otherwise. Cinemetra, you can in fact donate Mora to the alt's pockets. You can get it after this window. Now I'm actually going to use Ambitious Lure here. Just so that I can be a little bit more efficient with my time. You're already using fish eyes. You're getting ahead of me. That's the next thing in my notes once I get my slap. Now, looking at the data, Saber Sardine is probably also a fine slap, so I'm just going to use that to get started. So, as some people have already been using, you can use fish eyes for fingers, and it is recommended if you have enough GP to actually do that. It's really easy to handle, too. I just use Chum before you use fish eyes, and then just hit fish eyes and cast out, and only attempt to reel in any ferocious bites. That's those 3 exclamation points. Anything else, you're going to use rest, Chum, and cast back out again. So rest, Chum, cast right on back out. And once you get that ferocious bite, either in the window or not, you're going to be using hook. Again, patience does not impact the bite rate of big fish. It just makes any catch you get bigger. So you can use that as an option for catching fingers as well. Now I'm going to set up for the actual window, and I'll just show you what to do during that. Now during the actual window, it's going to work the same exact way. You're going to use Chum, ideally before 1730. Then you are going to cast out. If you do not get a finger's bite, which is a ferocious bite again, you'll use rest and you'll reel back in. So I'm going to cast out, and then I'm just going to wait for a bite. I don't need to use fish eyes here because we're in the window for the next 90 seconds or so, at least until 1800. And if you're doing this without fish eyes, you don't need a ton of GP. You can pretty much show up to this window with, just enough for a slap and a few chums, and you'll do perfectly fine. Now, a fun fact about A fun fact about fingers, for the longest time, we actually thought that it was 1700 to 1800, but it wasn't until we were given a copy of this book that was only published in Japan that we found that fingers was actually 1730 to 1800, making it the first 30-minute window. Alright, so our window is closed. If you want, you can use fish eyes again and just keep casting out.
Contrary to popular belief, fish do, in fact, exist.
Another thing with fish eyes as well. Fish eyes is the buff that as long as you cast out while you have the buff, the time removal aspect of fish eyes will still count. So even though fish eyes has just fallen off, Finger still has a chance to bite. Just like that. But it slips. Unfortunate. Again, if you have any questions about fishing or any of the fish that we're going for, please feel free to yell them out in chat with, I don't know, an iambic pentameter. I don't know. But go ahead and wrap up whatever fish eyes windows you have, and then we're going to move on to our next fish, which is up in just about 9 minutes. Oh yes, thank you for the moras. That will be added to the collection. Where do we want to go for this one? Because the fishing window for the Smoldering Wastes is like this whole area right here. Let's head to the bridge. What's your stance on the are we fish taxonomy debate? What do you mean by we, as in like we as humans? Because there is, I mean, technically we are descendants from fish. So if you want to get really pedantic, we are fish. Let's do this. Let's see, is this a pretty picture? This looks kind of pretty. Stand right over here. Get everyone in the back with annexed shrine there. It is almost 3 o'clock, which means my cat thinks that it is food time. She doesn't get fed for like another 2 hours. She is terrible at telling time, I swear. So about how fish are, let's see, as a clad have to be either extremely wide or be specifically selective to include various groups, but not include us or other. Oh, I don't know. She does not want to be picked up. I don't know, TRM. I'll have to do a little bit more research into that. Dark purpley. Good color, by the way. Do you have an aquarium IRL? I don't, actually. I almost got one a few years ago. And even went so far as to deciding what fish I would want to get. And... hold on, my cat is still trying to get my attention. I will answer this in 1 second. She's just standing there making biscuits on my standing mat right now. Okay, so a few years ago I did consider getting an aquarium. I almost did. I was looking at like a 50-gallon, and I was looking at getting either a half moon or a samurai beta, and then try and get some, friendly fish to go with that, or I was going to end up with a catfish tank, because I wanted to get an anchor catfish. But one, we have a cat, and two, we didn't have a good place to put the tank, and I didn't have any furniture at the time that could support. Oh gosh, what would that have been? 500 or 50 gallons would have been like what, 500 pounds of water. We didn't have anything that would support it and keep it out of reach of the cat, so ended up not getting an aquarium, but it is the first thing that I will get when we get a new place. Okay. One second. Excuse me, water elemental. You're blocking the view. Okay, fine. All right. So let me bring up my notes. All right. So Dreamweaver is caught between 22, so 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. during clouds, dust storms, or fog. Now your slap will vary. If you are casting out between, or will be casting out between, like 2 and 3 a.m., which is what we will be doing, you will slap either Marble Oscar or Warm Water Beecher, and make sure you do not have snagging on. Do not have snagging on. That is going to add another fish to the fishing hole, and we don't want that. So with our Brute Leech, we will cast out. Ambitious Lure doesn't really help, but if you want to use it during prep, just to guarantee that you get the bites that you want, you are more than welcome to do that. But during the actual window itself, I would not recommend. Alright, so there's our Warm Water Beecher. I will use Surface Slap, I will use Chum, and then I'm going to wait until the window opens, which in this particular case is going to be at 2200 because we are currently in a dust storm. What's interesting about Dreamweaver's window is it is what we call a split window. So Dreamweaver, like I was saying, can be caught between either 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. However, at midnight, the weather changes. So its window could either be from 2200 to midnight, or midnight to 2 a.m., or 2200 to 2 a.m., depending on what the weather transition is. So if it's fog now, but then it's going to be like fair skies at midnight, then the window is going to end at midnight. But if it's fair skies now and then dust storms or fog starting at midnight, then it starts at midnight. Alright, so we are going to cast out at 22:01 or 10:01 p.m. And we do the 1 minute later just to make sure that we clear any server ticks, because there can be some conversation between the client and the server that can sometimes, if you cast out like right as the hour turns, then it could still be in the last transition, so it's a dead cast basically. Now for any non-ferocious bite, we are going to use rest, then chum, and then cast back out. This is a very standard straight catch fish. This is a strategy that you'll basically use for every straight catch fish. Almost every straight catch fish. Looks like someone got a catch, so congratulations. I also see a few people using one stack of Ambitious Lure. This is something that a lot of people will use because it just costs, 10 GP and gives you a slightly better favor or slightly better odds towards your target fish. You're welcome to do that if you want. Lure stacking, so going to the full 3 stacks, definitely not worth it. But if you want to just toss out one Ambitious Lure stack, you are more than welcome to. That 10 GP in a window that's only going to be, 5-6 minutes long, not really going to hurt you. And then once we get the bite, we use hook, as we always do, to reel in the Dreamweaver. Excuse me, I was writing something down. So, that's basically it for Dreamweaver. This is one of those fish where, with split windows, I will see some people say that they only want to show up to the longer window. Dreamweaver is absolutely one of those fish where if there's a window, show up to it. Anytime that there is a window, regardless of how long it is, you should still show up to it, because that's still, another minute to 3 minutes that you typically wouldn't have had to try and actually catch that fish. So it's worth going if you can, if it's not sacrificing some other, big fish window. See if we can go for another one, just because we're here. We've got 3 minutes left. Put another 90 seconds on this window. Sorry, misread that time. You have a minute left. And then we're going to be not going too far away from here. We're actually not even going to leave the zone. See, the the snagging only fish is, I believe, rock mussel? Yeah. Which just adds a precision, adds a precision hook set fish to the hole. I never actually, it's not a huge, add. It's like 1 or 2% at most. And the powerful hook set fish are like way more dominating, so it wouldn't have hurt too much, but why add something if you don't need to? Alright, last cast. So we didn't grab the second, and that is fine. So our window is now closed because it is clear weather. And what we're going to do now is we're going to make a quick little jaunt over to Westmourne. And congratulations on that catch there, Tudu. Now we've got 6 minutes, a little under 6 minutes now for this fish. For those of you who are, I see you all flying towards the arrow, you need to go through the castle, or at least around the Castle of Annex Shrine first, because this is going to be inside the mountain. I went too high. Need to go down. Yeah, for those of you who are struggling to find this place, I'm kind of standing right over here at 15.5, 20.5, 1.8. This is a bit of a weird place to get to. I know that I have a video on how to get to Annex Old. It was one of the first videos that I made, and it is also one of the most popular. Because it is kind of weird to find. So, we're going to be going for Hraesveglr's Tear. A fish that is a small precision hookset fish here in Westmourne, which is a fishing hole that a lot of people miss, because technically it looks like it's all part of Halo, but it is not. There's actually a second fishing hole over here on the west-hand side of the bridge. Don't fall off like I did. Now the trick is finding where you can actually get in and fish. There we go. Okay, so thank you, Darcy, for that follow. So with Hraesveglr's Tears, this is going to be another fish that you do not want to have snagging on. That just adds a fish called Magma Tree, and it bites often enough to be annoying. But we'll start off by casting out with our magma worms, and we're going to be looking for a granite crab. Now, this is a incredibly common bite throughout all of this volcano, and so typically when you're going to be doing any sort of fishing in this volcano, you are either going to be slapping granite crabs, like I am doing here, or you're going to be mooching them, which is what you'll use if you're catching like Lord of Lords, Problematicus, Riddle. All of those require mooching, or you're going to be slapping them. Now, when the window opens at 2 a.m., you're going to cast out, and you're just going to wait for a Ferocious Bite to appear. And if it isn't, you'll use Rest, and if it is, then you'll use Hook. That simple. This is a case where this fishing hole is almost all, with the exception of the mooched fish. It is all precision hook set fish. So using lure is not going to do anything at all. So I don't even need to use modest lure, don't even do like one stack thing. This is a very simple chum and, cast and chum and cast strategy for a straight catch fish. If you want to use fish eyes, this is another great fish for fish eyes because it is up daily Eorzea time. It's up between 2 and 6 a.m. So you can use fish eyes with the same strategy as well. Also, Dark Purpley, thank you for that follow. Okay, so as the window is opening here at 2:01, I will cast out. I'll wait for a bite. If it isn't a Ferocious Bite, I'm going to use Rest, and then I'm just going to repeat. So cast out, wait for a bite. If it isn't a Ferocious Bite, that 3 exclamation point, I'm going to use Rest, and then I will use Chum and cast back out. Rest, Chum, and cast. That is like I was saying, this is a core strategy for catching straight catch fish, especially in ones that have fishing holes that are very dominated by a specific hook set that lures just aren't useful. And Hraesveglr's tier can slip. It isn't super slippery, but it is slippery enough that it's noticeable. No, we haven't had hell fishing, in an overworld fishing hole since this one was added in Heavensward. Like, we haven't seen hell fishing since Heavensward, and then we saw it just recently on Fena in the final zone. That was all hell fishing, but we haven't seen anything else for hell fishing, at least. Right, there's a bite. We'll use hook, and it'll slip, and we'll just keep going. Now, even though a fish bites and you attempt to hook, Surface Slap will stay on. Same thing with Identical Cast, same thing with Prize Catch. Those will stay on until you successfully reel in a fish. Naya, it might be the mooched fish, so if you've already caught Hraesveglr's fish, catch a granite crab and mooch that. And it should be like the only fish on the mooch. So we use hook again, and it slips again. Should be another bite coming up. Yep. This is a really long bite too, so it's easy to identify like when it's about to bite. And there you go. I remember desperately trying to find Problematicus here. Well, you can't catch Problematicus in Westmourne, TRM, so that was your first problem. 3 windows later, it turned out you didn't have the book. Yeah, the books are always a classic pitfall for folks. Even I have to go back and double check to make sure I have the books, because I've been gearing up like 3 or 4 alts right now, and through Dawn Trail at least, and I think one of them through Endwalker. And it's been a juggling act of, wait, did I get the book on this one or did I get it on the other one? But yeah, so this one is Westmourne. This will be Westmourne, and then over specifically here behind the statue and entrance to Somal. So is that Sorkai or Somal? Somal. Behind here, this is where you go for Problematicus. Yeah, there's like 4 fishing holes here, because there's Mourne, Westmourne, Halo, and then Annex Old. I think that's it. I think it's just those 4, but they're all really tight in here, and Annex Old is relatively hard to pick up on. For those who don't know, when we go for Riddle, again, I forget if I have Riddle or not. Do I? I do. Oh, that was right. That was during session 0 when I couldn't turn it into a guide. So I might just record a separate one. But Annex Old is all of this, or sorry, Mourne is all of this foggy area right here. But this foggy area, if you start up here, this is where it gets weird. If you start up here, which is marked as Annex Old, if you fish out from here, you're fishing in Mourne. But you need to actually, if you want to fish in Annex Old, go down here where you can't see it because of the bloom. But if you come down here, if you fish out here, this is Annex Old. Like I said, I have a video on this. It was one of like the first videos that I made, and it is probably one of my most viewed videos. Or at least it was one of my most viewed videos for a while. Alright, so we got another about 4.5 minutes left on Hraesveglr's Tiers. Now, if you've already caught Tier, now is a really good time to work on catching black mage fish, which is off the mooch, and you can kind of just, you can turn on snagging, go for magma trade, and you can just 100% out the fishing log for Westmourne. It's been so dry here because it's been so cold and my nose is killing me. Oh. Oh yeah, Cindersmith would be the other one. I forgot Cindersmith was a snagging fish. That is correct. Guess we just go for another tier. Oh, but it gets away. 3 minutes left. If you have already caught Hraesveglr's tears, you could, if you want, start making your way over to the South Shroud. Give yourself a little break if you want. Grab some water, sit up, down shrimp. Grab a snack. We have another about hour and a half worth of fishing left, so this is a good break point. But we have about 8 minutes until the window opens, but we are going to want to do some prep. Oh, that's a new PB for Magma. You can also just tell that I haven't fished in the Halo yet, because that's where all of the big fish for Magma is. And by big fish, I mean the record sizes. Ooh. And Kay, congratulations on Go Big Go Home 2. Oh, I need to, excuse me. I need to turn snagging on. Snagging is one of those skills that if they really want to sell me that Dawn Trail is the fishing expansion, they'll do something with it. Either they will make all they'll make all of the same species like require snagging, so like all mussels, all urchins will all require snagging, even in A Realm Reborn, or they will just completely change its functionality. That's one of those things where it's like, if I ever got hired to work at Square Enix, I wouldn't tell anybody, but there would be signs type thing, like suddenly snagging is used cohesively through everything. That would be a sign. Okay. There's about 20 seconds left, but let's get ready to move on to our next spot. We are going to be going for the Gobfather. And we are going to be going to South Shroud? South Shroud, yeah. Make sure I think of the right area. Specifically, we are going to be going to this pool here. And make sure you have honeyworm. And plenty of it. So we'll be using it for 3 more fish after this. I might actually have to go pick up some more. But gather around on this little pond here, ignore the goblins. Alright, let me get my marker. The Gobfather. Alright, so the Gobfather here is a mooched fish. And for prep, I definitely recommend arriving early. And with your honeyworm, use Patience 2. Pop your cordial right after you use Patience 2 as well. That's just good practice. And then cast out. And what we're going to be looking for are silverfish. Now, silverfish cannot bite after 15 seconds or so. So if you don't have a bite by 15 seconds, just use rest and reel in. But if you get a weak bite before 15 seconds, so you don't need snagging, if you get a weak bite before 15 seconds, use precision hook set to reel it in. If you don't, just use rest and cast back out. And you're just going to repeat this until the window opens. Whenever you get that silverfish, you're going to use Spareful Hand to store it. If you don't have Spareful Hand, get a bunch of Angler's Art stacks. And then right before the window opens at... right before the window opens at the weather transition, which is going to be either at 8, 16, or midnight. That's 8 a.m., 4 p.m., or midnight. Just make sure that you have at least one silverfish being held with Mooch. Because the Gobfather, its conditions are that it can only be caught during thunder or thunderstorms, as in the weather, but it doesn't matter the time. So Fish Eyes is not going to help you here, but if it is thundering or thunderstorming, which it is quite often, it feels like, in the South Shroud, it's going to be up. Now, I still have about 3 minutes to this window. I could, if I wanted to, keep going, catching just silverfish, and then I would have... Ideally, you have 3 stored and 1 being held with Mooch for 4 potential Mooches. In reality, what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to use up the last of this Patience 2. And I'm going to get myself to at least 5 Angler's Art stacks. Having that makeshift bait available is pretty handy. At least for GP management and at least for your opener. So once you blow through all of those silverfish and you use Mooch 2, then you pop makeshift bait and you have at least 2.5 minutes where you are just gaining GP without spending it, but you can still Mooch. So I'm going to grab that last silverfish and then I'll wait for the window to open. So, when 8:01 or whenever the weather starts, I'm going to use Mooch and Mooch out that 1 stored silverfish. If you don't have that, you just select one of your Spareful Hand stored ones and Mooch that out instead. And on that Mooch, there's only going to be 2 different bites. There's either going to be a strong bite or the ferocious bite, and the ferocious bite is the one that we want. That is the Gobfather. The other bite is a strong bite. It is the Goblin Perch, and while not useful to us and obviously not the big fish we want, it does make a really nice aquarium fish. So it's 8:01. I know that the weather is about to transition, so I'm going to go ahead and Mooch my silverfish. With weather transitions, you do not need to wait for the weather to actually appear up in the minimap. You can just cast out if you know that if the weather is supposed to happen in that window. Now, if I get a strong bite here, I'm going to use Rest. If I get a ferocious bite, I'm going to use Hook. And the Gobfather is slippery, so be forewarned that it could slip on you. And if it does, you just select the next Mooch that you have, if you have any more stored, and then cast out and go again. If you have enough GP, you can also use Chum to kind of speed up this process. If you don't, that's fine. Alright, and there we go with our catch. So, one of the things, though, that I do want to talk about is what happens if you get through all of your stored mooches and you actually have nothing to do. So let me clear out my mooches here. So let's just pretend that right now I have just used up all my stored mooches and I didn't catch the Gobfather. What I will do is I will catch a silverfish, just like I was before, waiting for that weak bite before 15 seconds. If it's 15 seconds, use res, cast back out. And then I will mooch that first silverfish. It will likely be an average-sized silverfish, which means you will use mooch 2. That's good. We want to have mooch 2 on cooldown whenever we can. And that was not our fish, so it was reel in. We want to have mooch 2 on cooldown whenever we're dealing with mooches, because that's basically like a 100 GP mooch for an average size fish. We don't need to use any other resources except that GP. But while it's on cooldown, I'll use makeshift bait, and then I'll just carry on catching silverfish like before. Now, once my makeshift bait falls off, I will talk about what to do with patience, which is mostly going to be the exact same thing that you're doing, except with silverfish, you'll be using precision hook set, and with the Gobfather, you'll be using powerful hook set. So I'm going to do a whole spiel on that, so I have the recording of it in case I want to include it in the guide. If you're going for this guy at level 50, which you totally can, and it's actually not as bad as people think it would, instead of using Patience 2, you'll just use Patience 1. I would recommend showing up a little bit earlier because Patience does not guarantee a large size fish every time, especially at level 50. So you want to make sure that you give yourself enough time to build up at least 5 Angler's Art stacks to be able to use that makeshift bait, because that's going to be super duper powerful for you, especially in such a long window. Going for those 5, maybe even 10 Angler's Art stacks at like level 50, or if you don't have Patience 2 unlocked, super duper duper powerful. Okay, Quinaris. Is Spareful Hand and Identical plus Cordials not worth it for this one? If you are running low on time and you have the GP to pull that off, yeah, I would, because you can't always guarantee that you're going to get the mooch, or at least the silverfish bite, but I wouldn't necessarily recommend it. I don't think it's needed for the rest of the window. It's really one of those, like, if you are late to prep or you are really short on time at the end of the window and you want to try and get a couple more mooches in, then I would do that. Right, so if you are also going to be using Patience 2 for this, which you would use when you run out of Angler's Art stacks, this is a 23-minute window. You're not going to be able to make 10 Angler's Art stacks work for a full 23 minutes. You will use Precision Hookset to reel in silverfish. And when you mooch those, you will use Powerful Hookset to reel in the Gobfather, that ferocious bite. Again, Patience does not increase the bite chance of big fish. So we're using this here purely because we need a mooch, not because it's a big fish. Now, the slightly annoying thing from a insider baseball thing when I was planning this fish train, I was like, oh yeah, no, this is a full 23-minute window. I was expecting the Gobfather to slip way more often, so I was going to be expecting that I was going to have to fish this entire window, and I didn't. So we got about 15 minutes left. Either way, but I was totally expecting it to slip more than it did. Hey, Kalia. How are you doing today? If you've already caught the Gobfather, now's a good time to also just catch a few extra of those small fish to help fill out your fishing log if you need it, or just catch some goblin perch, because those are always fun. Kind of weird. South Shroud has a ton of fish that are just available during Thunder, like Giant Takitaro, Namitaro, both available during Thunder thunderstorms, or like one or the other. Solid Gobfather available during Thunder. Sun 11 also there. It's just a very Levin specific zone. I mean, unsurprising because you have, maybe Earth's font has something to do with that, but it's just kind of weird how this fish, Sun 11, Gobfather, Namitaro, Giant Takitaro, all those fish are very specifically thunderstorm related. Oh, congratulations. Nice job there, Cinemetra. Oh, wait, hold on. How long is... Oh, demo's been going for 30 minutes. Hold on. Know what that means. See, my missing fish there was normal Takitaro, all the things I just read streamers on it. Yeah. Ooh, Lily 12 mooches in without a bite. Not too surprising. Yeah, like I've been saying on stream too, like, I didn't expect it to bite so quickly. So Denmo's streaming right now, and I don't mind mentioning that on stream because Denmo's great. But I just went into his, I just quickly dropped into his chat. He gave me access to a command that if I put it into chat, it says, you know what that means, and then anytime someone says fish afterwards, it'll make like a varying frequency sound of the word fish. And I just ran in, dropped it, left. I didn't know anything that was going on. And apparently, in the context of that happening, they were talking about fishing and fish, and I had no idea. Well, when we're done with the stream, we'll probably read over into him anyways. But I'll have to ask him about that later. Here's the thing. A lot of people are like, oh, just start talking about fishing and Fruity will show up. And one of two things will happen. One, I will happen to show up. And it is just because I am, I have free time, I'm available to do it, I see something going on, or I see your thumbnail on Twitch, and I can recognize, like, oh, they're fishing, and I'll just step in. I will sometimes just browse the 14 category on Twitch, and if I see someone fishing, I will step in and just watch. And I won't usually say anything, I'll just lurk, because it helps me better understand what new fishers or at least what other fishers are saying about certain fish where they're struggling, because it helps me as a guide maker. So that's the one thing that'll happen. The other thing that will happen is someone will go, hey, we're talking about fish, and then someone will link me to it in a DM, and I will just happen to catch it, and then I will show up and be like, oh, hey, I was summoned, what's up? I've had that happen a few times where people will be like, oh, hey, like, Denmo has a question, or even Denmo reached out once, was like, hey, can you come back to stream? I have a fishing question. So, I don't... The whole bit of me just showing up is kind
By the
of
standards
a joke.
of paleontology,
It's a coincidence.
humans are a type of fish.
Well, TRM, that seems fitting for what you were just asking about earlier. I lurk a lot. That's the thing, like, I lurk on a lot of streams, I will lurk on a lot of channels as well, like I'll watch a bunch of videos. I don't really watch a lot of 14 creators though. I think the only streams that I'll watch, that I at least watch regularly, is Wrath and Denmo. But that's partially due to the fact that I spent a ton of time with them during the PvP tournament, so like, I do that partially as support, partially because I like what they do. And they're also usually at times when I'm available to watch stuff. I'll watch like Quisty sometimes because I'll be up in the morning and she'll be streaming. But outside of that, I don't really watch a lot of content creators for Final Fantasy XIV. I don't know a lot of them either. Like, I've talked to them in a few cases as like, hey, I'm a content creator, so are you. Hi, and we just kind of like wave at each other in cars as we pass by. But I don't watch a ton. I will lurk. But yeah, for 14 stuff, I usually I don't do much. So, and if I'm not lurking, I was talking to Wrath about this the other week. I don't usually say much in stream chats because I'm not like super recognizable. Like, I don't show up and people are like, oh my gosh, it's Fruity, like every time. But I do get recognized enough that I am a little uncomfortable stepping into a chat and just start talking to somebody, and then people are like, oh, it's Fruity, big fan, blah, 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 and drawing attention away from that streamer, especially if they're a smaller streamer. I don't like doing that, so I usually don't talk much in those channels if I am watching somebody. Just under 6 minutes left, by the way. Hey, Lily, congratulations on that catch, finally. Genuinely gave me more grief than Punity Pain. Punity Pain's a fun fish. Actually, I think Gobfather would be a really good practice fish, too, for, like, brand new players. Hey, the only reason I chase Denmo is because Denmo runs. That was the only reason. That first time it happened in Ul'dah, I saw that he was there. I was literally just going to run up to him, do a party popper, like the fish party popper, and then just walk away. And I was planning on logging out at that time. And he just started running, and I just tuned into the stream at that time, and he just was like, oh no, and he started running. I'm like, okay, I guess we're doing that bit. And that's how that happened. So now whenever he shows up, he just runs, and I'm like, all right, fine. We'll run after him. Actually, where is he right now? That was the one thing I didn't catch. Is he doing Dynamis today? Oh no, he's not even close to Dynamis. He's on OCE, Aether, and then Crystal. Ooh, Mina, congratulations. You got like 4 or 5 catches, it looks like. As my voice goes higher. Let me try this again. We have like 4 or 5 catches. See, I got 2. Lily. Let's see. See, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, about 4 or 5. That's pretty good. But we are going to be wrapping up this window. We got about 3 minutes left, and then we're going to be jumping over to Central Shroud. So this is another good time for a break if you need it. I slow these fish trains down a little bit because I want to make sure I give myself enough time to answer and explain questions. So if anyone has questions about fishing in general, I have already put that time into the fish train, so please feel free to ask them. But in about 2 minutes, we'll go to Central Shroud. See if I can pick up a few more things here while I'm just chilling. The next fish will require Sifrid baskets, so if you don't have those, please grab those. I want to grab some honeyworm too before we leave. Phantom912, thank you for that follow.
Contrary to popular belief, fish do, in fact, exist.
I have like 20 or 30 things, and the randomizer just picks the same one over and over. Okay, thanks for joining. Alright, so we have 3 fish after this. Alright, so the Gobfather ends in a minute, so we can hang out just a little bit longer. I'll brighten this. If you have Angler's Art stacks and you're done, make sure to use them on Thaliac's favor if you don't have any GP, or if you aren't at max. Alright, let's see if I can grab one more mooch in 30 seconds. I don't talk about it, but you could use chum here. You basically just be waiting until about 8 seconds, and if you don't have a weak bite, try again. Because it's such a long window, because you have patience too, because you have makeshift bait, you don't really need to use chum unless you want to. Like, if you want to be like super focused, then yeah, totally do that. But it's one of those things where there's a lot of things that you could be doing that a lot of people do. Like for straight catch fish, you could totally go get 10 Angler's Art stacks every time if you want. But sometimes you just don't need to. Like, there's no doesn't have a huge impact. So, all right, we're gonna head over to Central Shroud next. We got about 5 minutes, 6 minutes? 5 minutes. And we are heading to Evershade, the Guardian Tree. That's Bent Branch Meadow Aetheryte is the quickest one. I will see you guys there. I'm going to grab myself some more honeyworms. You will also need Sifrid baskets for this fish, but we will need honeyworms coming up for the last 2 fish. So if you are low, I would recommend grabbing them. Now I have to remember where the merchant is. Over here. Yep, there you are. No! You can buy them here, though. That's good. Let me swing over. I should have bought more. I misjudged the amount that I needed. You know what that means? I should give Denmo... Actually, here's what maybe I'll do. I will...
Fish.
Hey, Bruni. I should get a command that makes Mortimer say, you know what that means, and then instead of fish, it's just toilet, and just give that as a command specifically for Denmo to use. How are you doing, Bruni? it is very cold north of us, or north of you as well. Let's see, let me put you away. Slug. Dun, dun, dun. This is my note telling me which videos I can make guides for. Put you away, bring you out. Okay. It's a good shot here. Hello, Calypso Deathbringer. I hope you have a good time playing Dragoon. Guy's in a cutscene, he's gonna come out to just like a horde of fishers. Let me add my marker. Right, so Levinlight, one of the other very rare biting fish in the game, so it is something that I recommend going to whenever you get a chance to. But what I would start off, whenever you do show up, I would start off much like other fish that are straight catch, is we are going to cast out, use chum, and we are going to be catching a mitten crab. Now this is the highest biting fish in the game, not in the game, in the fishing hole. Black eel, I believe, is also available and will be up during this time, but if you're prepping, it might not be. But mitten crab is a really safe slap. So what you'll do is you'll catch it, it is a weak bite, and then you'll use surface slap and chum again, and then you'll just wait for the window to open, which is from 18 to 23, so that's 6 p.m. to 11 p.m. And I'm just going to sit here and wait until 1801 before casting out again. Cinemetra, pretty, I've caught 4 junk mongers and 0 goosefish. Am I cursed? No, but there is a handful of fish where the big fish is more common than the rare, like its other counterpart, junkmonger being one of those, I think. Rising Dragon the other. Alright, so as 18 passes, at 1801, I will cast out. And again, we cast out a minute after the window, actually, or an Eorzean minute after the window, because we want to make sure that we are clearly in the window and we're not doing a dead cast because we cast it too early before the server recognized it and our client recognized it. But much like all the other straight catch fish that you may be running into, this is going to be a fish where you're basically just going to be using rest on anything that isn't a ferocious bite, and using the lures for this fish isn't super helpful. The hook set distribution does not favor lure usage, so we just don't, it's not really worth the GP. You're not getting a ton out of it. The goosefish is the only fish I'm missing in Lenosha. When the conversation around what is the hardest fish you need to catch comes up, like what is the hardest fish in the game, my answer is always the last one you need to catch. I've been apparently recording a local version of this VOD the entire time, which is fine, but I'm also sub 200 gigabytes on my recording drive, which means I probably need to go in and delete a bunch of old and dead archival footage, which I always hate doing, but probably just should do it. Let me look. How are we? Yeah, I'm under 200 gigabytes, so I'll have enough for this stream, but after, before the next stream that I record, I'm going to have to clear out my recording channel. I was planning on getting a data server. There's like it's like a $200 sort of NAS setup that would have fit on my desk. And I was going to get that because I could have like 80 terabytes or something on it. And it's expandable, so I could just make it even bigger. And I haven't been able to get that because I was laid off, a few weeks ago. So I was like, maybe that random expenditure we can hold off on. I don't need it, but we can wait a little bit on that one. If I was like really serious, I would just pick up like one of those $600 NASs and have like a 400 terabyte personal media server, and then just have that hooked up to literally everything. But I am not that serious yet. But seriously, like the one that I was going to get, and will still get later, had a pretty small footprint and would have fit right in like the back corner of my desk, which would have been really nice. Behind my monitors. I hear someone got a catch and a slip, so congrats and sorry. Again, Levinlight is one of the rarer bites in the game. It is not as rare as Floating Boulder, which we started with, but it is still pretty rare. Has anyone gotten anything on the train? Yeah. Oh yeah, we're like almost done. We have 2 more fish after this. Alexandra, good evening. Hello, welcome. Bruni, if you're around, you can come join us. We're on Halicarnassus. We got 2 more fish left. There's still at least another probably 45 minutes of fishing. We're ending on the Matriarch because that was one of the first guides I wanted to make and didn't because we just ran out of time. So I decided we're doing it at the end, and I'm going to stream until I catch the Matriarch. Also, congratulations on that catch. There is another 7.5 minutes, so remember, until 11 p.m. I am doing okay. It's cold. It's dry. I'll probably grab some water after we quickly wrap up this window and so I don't turn into a cactus by the end.
Blue whales can grow up to 31 meters long and weigh up to 160 tons.
Big fish. But, how does that compare to Problematicus? Inches, 2 meters. Okay, about a little bit longer than Problematicus. Now would be a good time to remind everybody that at the end of next week, so on the 21st, so basically 13 days from now, will be Fish Fest. Fish Fest, for those who don't know, is a in-game convention that I run. I say convention, it's more like an in-game event. But it is an in-game event where we all meet up on Sophia. We have a fish train that's going to be running from, I think it's like 13 hours. We'll have a 13-hour long fish train. We will have ocean fishing boats. This year, we are planning to do tidal boats this year because a lot of people have asked for that, and I've always been worried about the logistics of that, but this year we decided to do, kind of pull the band-aid and do tidal boats instead of point boats. So if you want to go for certain titles, you'll be able to do that. We will have my scavenger hunt for fishing holes. Will make a return. The ultimate this year, I am super proud of. I hope everyone loves it and hates it at the same time. What else we got? Fisher Feud is back. If you want to participate in Fisher Feud, which is similar to Family Feud, but basically it's fish themed, you can. We have 2 shows for that. That's going to be ran by Big Salty again this year, and you'll be able to either sign up ahead of time, or you can sign up, or you can show up day of, I believe. And if there's spots, you can join in. I have those forms here for if you want. There's also the survey where you can contribute your own answers that people will be using to guess in the game. And then finally, we will have Trials of the Big One come in after Fisher Feud. That is it's a house that is going to be, I say Namazu themed, but it's not Namazu themed in the way that you think it is. But you'll have a Namazu theme to this house, and there will be 3 trials that you have to complete. And if you complete the trials, you get a reward, and that reward tells you the location of where the big one is. And then you have to go find the big one, answer his final question, and then you get a prize. And the Nature Art Party is back as well. That'll be back too. So that'll be starting on February 21st. So not this upcoming set. It's 2 weeks from yesterday. And that'll be on Sophia, which is on the Oceania data center. You can follow me and or the Eorzean Museum Network channels on social media for more info when it comes out. A little bit delayed. I'm behind a week again for the reason that I mentioned earlier. I'm a little bit behind because I had to get caught up on that. So we'll have all that out in the next week or so. Actually, I think almost all the initial web pages are done. That was I need to do that tomorrow and finish those. Alright, you got a minute left. If you've already caught Levinlight, again, another good time to take a break, because you are going to need some prep time for the next fish. So don't run away too far. But we are going to Blood Red Bonytongue next. Bruni, this is the ult. So if you want to give them to main, you'll have to wait. But the ult will take them, and they'll eventually find their way to the main. Alright, so the window is now closed. I did warn you, it is one of the rarest fish in the game. By bite rate. Alright, so we can grab their honeyworms now. We're going to make our way over to Mordonuts. We're going to head to the Singing Shards, which I always have to remember where this one is. Because it's not here. It's not, this is like North Singing Shards. I think around here-ish? Where is that hole? I think it's here. See the tiles I have left, though, because if I have time, day, oh, do I consider Ocean Blues honorary big fish? I don't think they're honorary. I think they are just big fish. Also, I totally picked the wrong spot. My bad. It's all the way over here. Wait, where? Where are you, Singing Shards? Here it is. This should be the Singing Shards. Let me check. I prepped everything else except forgetting to check where the Singing Shards were. Yep, okay. Just get my stuff ready here. Hold on. Die. Actually, is that an A rank? Am I about to make a mistake? Yes. Mistakes. You're fine. You're fine. Sorry, Hunt Train. Sorry. Mistakes were made. Okay. We'll just keep the A rank behind us. Get a shot here where I can get everybody in it. That works. I didn't kill it. Sorry. Yeah, no, we just wait. I'll wait for the Bruni SU. Yeah, okay, so Bruni, fine. Bruni can kill it. I can't. Alright. Anyways, let's talk about Blood Red Bonytongue. Alright, so Blood Red Bonytongue is a big fish caught here in the Singing Shards. It is caught between 4:30 and 11:30, so we have a little bit of time until the window opens, and that's good because we are going to be mooching a ton of fish, so we want to have some time to prep. I highly recommend showing up early to this fish and catching a bunch of silverfish. Now, minor correction, that is 4:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. during fogs or during foggy weather like we're in now, but after clear or fair skies. So, to start for this fish, much like a lot of other mooch fish, we're going to start with Patience 2, and we're going to cast out with Honeyworm, and then we're going to be reeling in weak bites at 1 exclamation point. That is roughly before 15 seconds, and whenever we catch one, we'll use the Spareful Hand, if you have it, to store it. If you don't have Spareful Hand, like maybe you're not level 91, which is fine, you can catch this fish at level 50 as long as you have the right amount of gathering. But if you don't have those skills, you're at this point going to be just building Angler's Art stacks. So I'm just going to start doing that as well. But you'll be building Angler's Art stacks because we'll be mooching a lot. So we're going to want those for makeshift bait. I think someone over on YouTube asked about, during Gobfather, whether or not you should use Spareful Hand Blessed Identical Cast during that. During Gobfather, probably not. During this fish, I would probably recommend it more, as long as it doesn't detrimentally impact your GP. Which, if you have full GP going into the window and you're using makeshift bait, shouldn't be a problem, but this would be a place where you could use that. And I would probably recommend doing so. Alright, so I have 3 silverfish stored at this point. I'm going to keep catching fish under Patience 2 just because I want to make sure that I have 10 Angler's Art stacks for this. I know that I'm going to be mooching a lot. I know I'm going to be wanting to manage my GP a bit more. So I'm going to basically just make sure that I have as many Angler's Art stacks as I can. And then I will catch that final silverfish that I need that I'll hold with mooch before the window. Because I have like 7 minutes until the window opens, I know I have plenty of time for my GP to regenerate and be able to store whatever I need. Don't A ranks immediately spawn on death, or like within a minute of it dying? And just move to another location. B ranks do that, okay. Then how long does it take A ranks to respawn? I don't do hunt trains, so. Oh, 2 hours. Unlucky. Alright, I'm going to leave it here. That's 9 Angler's Art stacks. That's fine because I'll be able to get one more pretty easily with just like a prize sketch if I need it, or I might even just get it naturally by the time I would actually need to use it. So I'm now just going to wait 6 minutes until the window opens. I don't hunt very often. I know about hunt news and hunt stuff by proxy to being, around people who do the hunt. My hunting usually involves a rod. Gravity Studios, thank you for that follow. In the 6 minutes we have until the window opens, I'm going to go quickly refill my water so I don't sound like a cactus. I already out here using fish eyes. When it comes to Blood Red Bonytongue, fish eyes is possible. For prep, I would basically just get 2 or 3 silverfish ready ahead of using fish eyes, then use fish eyes, mooch out all of those silverfish, and then repeat the process. So anytime it's foggy after clear or fair skies, you can do this. It's a little bit more tedious, but it is something that you can do, especially if you show up to a window like super early. So we got 2.5 minutes until the next window. I think the other note too, when it comes to using fish eyes, you don't necessarily, especially on fish that require mooches, and if those mooches aren't super reliable like this one would be, I would really just wait. If you are like within 5 minutes of the window starting, I wouldn't use fish eyes because it's gonna drain all your resources. You're gonna have to go back and get all of those mooches again. It just takes a little bit of extra time, so I wouldn't necessarily recommend it for fish like this, unless it is after the window, a window that it has no chance of it appearing, like it's just like it's fog after clear fair skies at like 2 p.m. Then yeah, use fish eyes. But for a window when you're this close, I think Kai would probably have been the latest I would use it before the actual window. Hit my head. Loki's back because she thinks it's food time again. Bruni, I don't actually know the answer to that, at least off the top of my head. The question being, do the Mordona fishing holes count towards any of the good things come to those who paid achievements? I don't think so. Because Mordona is an independent state. Alright, so when the window opens at 4:30, I'm going to mooch at 4:31. And then I'm going to wait for a bite. If that bite is anything but a ferocious bite, then I am just going to use rest, and I am going to use my next mooch. Really long bites are likely to be blood red bonytongue, or you're disconnecting. Ideally, it's blood red bonytongue. So I have a ferocious bite, I'll use hook, and blood red bonytongue does love to slip. So if that is the case, you just use your next mooch. You can use chum on anything that you've stored. Don't use chum on that first mooch because that'll break it. But anything that you've stored, you can use mooch on, and then just cast back out again. This will give you one of two fish on the mooch. It'll either be blood red bonytongue, or it will be garpike. Garpike is useless to us right now. We just want blood red bonytongue, so I will use rest on those. Cat noises. It might count towards Savannah Land now that you mention that. There's a guide for it in the fish cord. Alright, so once I am out of all my mooches, I will basically just go back to catching silverfish like before. Any bite that is a weak bite before 15 seconds, I will reel in and I will mooch it. On this first one, I am not going to use prize catch, I'm not going to use patience, I'm not going to use makeshift bait, because what I want is to use mooch 2 and start putting that onto cooldown. Once that's on cooldown, then I will use makeshift bait. If I don't have any Angler's Art stacks, I would use patience 2 or patience if I don't have that unlocked yet. And you're basically just going to be doing that for the entire window. Now that I've used mooch 2, I'm going to use makeshift bait. Basically, anytime that mooch 2 is on cooldown, you're going to be using either patience or makeshift bait, because that way you can guarantee moochable fish. If you can't use, maybe you're really short on GP or you don't have any resort stacks, but you know how to confidently catch the fish that you're going to mooch, you can use prize catch as a stopgap. So if I was like really low on GP or had no Angler's Art stacks, I could use prize catch instead, potentially if I had 200 GP to actually pick up the mooch. Congratulations, Leon. Another little tip too with GP management, and I want to do a bigger video on just talking about GP management techniques. If you are sitting at full GP, you should use chum at least once if it doesn't ruin anything for you, or prize catch if possible, because you want to make sure that you're always ticking up GP, because anytime that you're at full GP, you're not gaining it, so that's wasted GP that you could be using on other skills to kind of optimally fish better. So using chum, using prize catch, those are two really good ways of just quickly getting rid of GP or converting it into an Angler's Art stack. I'm not going to use it too much because I want to make sure that I have enough to use patience 2 if needed. But you want to keep that. It's a lot like the resources if you're playing like Dancer or Reaper or Warrior, any of the gauge. Well, basically any of the gauge combat classes. You don't want to be sitting on a capped gauge for too long. Think of your GP as that gauge. You don't want to be sitting on that too long because then that's wasted DPS. In this particular case, that's wasted, skills that you could be using. So I'm actually just going to use prize catch here. And now that I have 5 Angler's Dart stacks, the next silverfish I catch, I will use on the next thing. After the next silverfish catch, I will use on Mooch too. All right, so there's 3 minutes left in the window. Again, Blood Red Bonytongue is another split window, so it'll either end at 8 or start at 8. I had a pullover shirt, and now my cat is trying to bite its tag. Yeah, I think now that I'm going through this window, if you have enough GP, I definitely would be using Spareful Hand and Identical Cast to get a few extra mooches in. I think you have enough GP to make that work if you start with 10 Angler's Art stack. Cat cam when? If she had a place that I could set up a camera that wasn't super duper obtrusive and I could pretty much feel confident that she wasn't going to move, maybe there would be a cat cam. But that doesn't exist right now, so that's not going to happen. She likes to hide in things rather than on things. So especially now that it's cold, we build like little blanket forts for her on the couch, and she just goes into there and curls up into a ball into like a little cave. And she's a tuxedo, black-white tuxedo, so does not come up on camera very, very well when she's in a cave. Also, forgot to mention, if you are going to be using patience at all during any of these windows, you want to use powerful hook set on Blood Red Bonytongue and precision hook set on silverfish. Let's see if I can get one more mooch out. Alright, 8 seconds, get your last mooch out. Oh, that's a bummer. Yeah, no way I'm gonna land that one. Alright. We have one last stop. This is over in Corthus. This one, Central Highlands, and we are going to the ice hole. So I just realized something. Yesterday I went to the grocery store and bought a bunch of stuff for groceries, and I was going to make a very specific dinner. And I saw a picture. I was like, oh, I need to get, I have this, there was 4 halves of a red pepper in this image. I was like, oh, I need to get 4 peppers. Nope. I just realized I needed to only get 2. And peppers are expensive now. What am I going to do with 2 red peppers? Oh. Hello. I should do it. Actually, I don't know. I would probably really do it. Yeah, you're gonna get nice and cozy here for the Matriarch. That's why I'm standing a little bit farther away, so it's not too crazy. Oh, Eventide, sorry, yes, fish. Alright, the Matriarch is and always a big fish here at the exploratory ice hole. It is also the most slippery fish in the game as of patch 7.41. And it's a relatively straightforward catch. We just are going to be mooching Abelathian smelts, which are caught off of, ideally, honeyworm. So, you start with patience 2, we're going to cast out, and then basically we're just going to reel in any of the weak bites. And if it's an Abelathian smelt, we're going to mooch it. If you want to be really optimal, it's about 15 seconds or so. If you don't get a weak bite, use rest and cast back out again. But I'll mooch. And now if I get a ferocious bite, then I'm going to use precision hook set. Now, Matriarch is the slipperiest fish in the game, so you want to make sure that you're using the right hook set. Here I got a strong bite, so I'm just going to use rest. And I'm going to just repeat what I just did. Now, like I was saying, Matriarch is the slipperiest fish in the game, so you want to make sure you're using the correct hook set. Just because it's a ferocious bite does not mean it is always going to be a powerful hook set. Matriarch uses the precision hook set. And so if you are using powerful hook set on Matriarch, you are adding like an additional 80% slip rate on top of a 92% slip rate, which basically means it's going to take you like 1,000 bites for it to catch or something like that. Don't do that. Use precision hook set. And you're just going to repeat this until you get the Matriarch. It could take a little while. Bruni, I totally saw that, and I wanted to finish my monologue before I said something. But congratulations, you just pulled a fruity. I think it seems fitting that the Shiva music is playing now, too. Ooh, that might not be a smelt. Another trick that I probably won't include in the guide, but I'll mention, if you do catch a Marimo, you can use Surface Slap on it, and then use Modisler, and the next weak bite you get will be an Abelathian smelt. But smelts bite often enough, in my opinion, that it's not really worth doing. But if you're here and you want to, not fall asleep, something you can do. I wouldn't use Modisler, though, in any other situation. I would only use it if you have Marimo left. Because using Modisler to lure stack up to 3 times, that will push Abelathian Smelt outside of its easily identifiable window of time, and that's not great. You want to make sure that you can be able to identify it between the Marimo and Smelt. So if you have Marimo slapped, then you can use Modicil, but otherwise I would just use it normally. Alright, so I'll use Precision Hook Set, and it will slip as expected, but you just keep going. I'll say though, this is also a very good podcast fish. I feel like I should make... This might be a funny thing to do, is just make a list of fish that are good to listen to podcasts to, and just list out all the fish that are just like, you don't really need to pay attention. There is the other thing that I want to do, and I was thinking about doing it as a incentive for the charity event a couple of weeks ago, but I needed a good chunk of money for that one. Is I want to do a stream where I actually go for fish blindfolded. Because I think that would be, I mean, it's very doable. It's just knowing the bites, and so I was thinking about doing that, but I haven't found a good time to do it yet. I'm currently standing at my desk and I'm kind of just bopping around to the long fall. And I'm dancing around and Loki just came up and was just like, huh? What? What are you doing? Alright, this should be another Matriarch bite. Bite number 2! And a slip. So there's my Marimo. I'm just going to use Modisler. I wonder if they're going to do this again at FanFest. Which does remind me, if you are going to be at FanFest, you have another... Oh. You have, like, until March 20th, just as a reminder, to RSVP for the Aquarium Meetup event at the Aquarium of the Pacific on April 23rd. Another slip, number 3. Gotta get that, like, 10% chance for it to stay. I think the first year we did Fish Fest, we brought the fish train here, and just imagine about 100 and some odd fishers all around this fishing hole. Totodilly, you caught everything except Levinlight. That is actually a very successful fish train. Nice job. That's very, very, very successful. Better than I did, which I think I only caught like 4 fish. All mine slipped. We're going to see how long it takes. Let's see if I can catch this before the end of the 23-minute window that's set up on Kirby. Which means I have another 8.5 minutes for this to fight. Bite. Another slip. I will catch this fish. I've been attempting this fish like 3 times now. Number 4. One thing that is nice too is that you can cycle on fish where you're constantly mooching. You can cycle between Patience 2 and Makeshift Bait now. So if you kind of have a little bit of like a GP wiggle room, where if you have to use more GP during a Patience 2 cycle, you can usually on fish that you're consistently mooching with, you'll be able to get enough Angler's Art stacks back to use Makeshift Bait while you let your GP recover to be able to use Patience 2 again. There we go. So with the Matriarch, again, if you were using Patience 2, you would be using Precision Hook set to reel this in, but since I was not, I can just use normal hook. But that is the Matriarch. We got it in 20 minutes. Alright, so that's going to be the end of the fish train and the stream today. I hope you all had a good time and you all learned something at least. Maybe even catch a few fish. I know, let's see, we caught 5 of those, so that's pretty good. This one, I caught that one with fish eyes. I don't know if this will get a guide, but these 4 I'll be able to turn into guides most likely. So you'll be able to catch those in the future if you ever need to reference back. But I think I cover everything. Aquarium meetup. Fish Fest is in 2 weeks. Stream-wise, this week, I don't really know exactly when I'll be streaming. I might do another Thursday night stream for Dave the Diver. For sure, I might be back on Tuesday as well. That might be like a Tuesday mid-late afternoon Eastern time. Doing something, I don't know what. But definitely, I'm thinking maybe Thursday night will be Dave the Diver night for a little while. We'll decide. I'll figure that out. But you can look forward to that. And I think that's it. This fish train, we'll do another fish train. If we don't do one next week, it's not going to be, there won't be another one for at least another 2 weeks after that. So maybe I will do one next week. We'll do another fish train here like in the next week, because then we'll have Fish Fest, and then do another one after that, I think. So be on the lookout for that. If you want to follow me so that you can do these fish trains more, or just are interested in fishing in Final Fantasy XIV or even in other games, you can follow me on YouTube, which is where my primary platform of choice is. You can also follow me on Blue Sky, Twitter, which is mostly just announcements nowadays, and on Twitch. If you aren't already following, you can follow or subscribe and get some fun little Mora emotes as well that you can use anywhere. But until then, my name is Fruity Snacks. If you are watching on YouTube, thank you for watching. If you're watching on Twitch, stick around. I think we're going to go ahead and send you guys